What's good, folks? Welcome to another edition of the Cover One Film Room, the show that gives you the hows and the whys behind both the good and the bad of the Buffalo Bills. I'm one of your two hosts, Anthony Prohaska, joined as always by Eric Turner. And Eric, we sit here after a nice Buffalo Bills victory in Pittsburgh, some unfavorable elements, but the Bills, to their credit, kind of pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. They ran the ball. They stopped the run on the defensive side. Most importantly, they got back in the win column, started to see some positive upticks on both sides while being depleted at offensive tackle, while being depleted at pass catcher to a degree with Dalton Kincaid and Josh Palmer being out and then having a new guy in the mix. And we're here in the film room, as we always are, to dive into the tape for that Bills victory on both sides of the ball, hitting some scheme and structure and player pieces. But before we do that, as always, how you doing? How you feeling? How's it going?
Good. I mean, like you said, it was a good way to kind of end the weekend, to end the holiday season when it comes to Thanksgiving. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving with the family, as all of our viewers as well that typically join us here in the film room. We appreciate it. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. And yeah, like you said, depleted in many ways on both sides of the ball, but the game plans for both sides, offense and defense, were that much more important. But even more so, they were executed perfectly on the field. And I think that type of game plan for both sides, there was some simplicity to it, but I think that simplicity really helped both sides understand what the goal was, what needed to happen to execute and to win this game. And I thought that just allowed them to play fast, physical, and smart, and just stick to the game plans. They understood that, hey, this is going to be a tough game against the Steelers, and XYZ is what needed to be done in order to win. And they just kept their heads down. They just executed very soundly. And both sides, whether it's James Cook saying after the game, hey, we wanted to make the Steelers cornerbacks tackle, or on the other side, the Bills defense, in order to shut down a Steelers team that really relies on, even more so than the Bills, on that yards after the catch, on that run after the catch ability. Tops in the league in those areas. What they needed to do was do what? Tackle, and take good angles of the ball and tackle. And I just thought, that emphasis was just clear. It was concise, and the boys, they really took over on the field and just dominated, even when the opposing team knew what was coming.
Yeah, I think that was the most impressive piece with it. And I know, some people were down on it. You get the, well, it's the Steelers and they're not really good and they can't do X and they can't do Y and all this kind of stuff. But both teams knew the assignment coming into the game. You knew what the weather was going to be. You knew what the conditions were. And then from a Bills standpoint, you know who you're down, what you're down, all that kind of stuff. And it became like each team knew, like, okay, we each got to run the ball. We each got to stop the run. Yeah. And the Bills managed to do both of those things. They ran the ball well, which is exciting to see, but not completely out of this world because they're a good running football team.
Yeah, it's not surprising.
Not surprising. It was nice to see them repeatedly just be like, hey, Joey Porter, are you going to come up and fit off the edge on duo? Oh, no, you're not. Okay, cool. We're just going to keep going left and right, 29 times. And on the other side, though, is really not to kind of paint one or the other. I was really happy with the run defense in this game because they've been poor from a tackling standpoint, a fit standpoint. And I mentioned this last night in disguised coverage. I don't think I'm reading into it too much, but they, and you kind of alluded to it in some of the buzzwords and keywords here. They just looked more physical up front. There was more pop in the hands, more shock, like let alone some of the gap integrity stuff and things that they were doing. But there just seemed to be, like you said, more of, and whether it was because of the team they were playing or the elements or conditions or whatever, there just seemed to be so much more of a concerted effort and focus on stopping the run schematically, but also individually. Like you saw guys winning, you saw knockback, you saw battling, like they were a pain in the ass to run against up front. And on top of that, we're playing sound and executing. It was really, really, really nice to see and really, hopefully encouraging and a sign of maybe what's to come as far as improvements in that area.
It had great balance when you're talking about, hey, we want to shut down Metcalf. We want to, take the air out of that game plan with Rodgers and Metcalf and the yards after catch element, run after catch element of the Steelers. But at the same time, they want to make sure they have the numbers and the population to the ball for sound tackles. I think they only missed like 4 tackles this entire game. And like you said, there was good run gap integrity. the defensive linemen, the front seven overall, really attacked their blocks. They disengaged and destroyed blocks and then attacked the ball and were sound to the ball to make those tackles. They did a great job of balancing the run fits and the run tackling with, again, some of the pass game stuff, which I know they were hampered when you're talking Rodgers and that offense. And outside of DK, they really don't have many consistent weapons anyways, but they understood the assignment, right? They understood the assignment. And I think they really just, battled on the hatches and really just took it to the Steelers in many ways. And so it started with the guy that's kind of the hot button topic, the player of choice right now in defense in Shaq Thompson. He's really stabilized the Bills defense, especially if we're talking run fit stuff, because that's kind of where at his, his time right now in his career, that's really where he stands out differently than an injured Terrell Bernard, who was in there trying to, kind of work through those injuries and being hurt. 5 solo tackles, defensive stops left and right. I thought, the communication was there. You heard McDermott talk about the leadership. There's just a calming presence that you can see. Weeks ago, we talked about here in the film room. We showed you guys how the defense was just up and down, the variance to it, the communication looked off. There's some blown, run fits, some blown coverages. Ever since Shaq has gotten into the lineup for the injured Bernard, everything just kind of calmed down. And there were times, I said it on Turf to Tape, there were times where the defense is adjusting the motion. It's kind of getting herky-jerky like it had been with Bernard in there. And Shaq's just like, hold on. Okay, this is the formation. Okay, now they're motioning. He just calmed things down. And of all things that we saw in this game and we've seen from Thompson this year, I think that influence, that calming, cool influence and that veteran experience has really shined, even when we watch it on tape week in and week out.
Yeah, that's a really good point. The communication that comes from him and really just the relaying while he's been in there, it seems less frantic or hurried or kind of panicked. And, you would expect that from a guy who's got the snaps that he has under his belt from a quantity and quality standpoint. And it's been great to see. And, you mentioned in kind of juxtaposition with an injured Bernard, Bernard's been playing on one leg and he's been trying to gut through it and it's been hurting him and kind of hurting the team to a degree. And you get Thompson in there with his size and his length and his athleticism still, even though he's got miles on the tires and a multitude of lower body injuries over the last several years. But his ability, I think, to, fall off of guys in front of him and fit into the run and, get off blocks and be able to use some of his size and stay in his gap. Like he's helped some of the fits and he's definitely stabilized that area. And it's been really nice to see. And I think at this point, we can't continue to look at it and be like, oh, it's a coincidence or, oh, it's a coincidence. And he's really made a difference. And even from a coverage standpoint, there are a couple times in this game, he matched, I think it was Darnell Washington really nice on the Christian Benford interception, got underneath and undercut a little bit. He had a nice pass off with Taryn later in the game on a sack or a hurry.
It was a pressure from Bosa that went incomplete.
Yes. Thank you. Yep. A nice pass off there. Just watching him kind of execute and do what they need at that position, stabilize the defense, stabilize that spot. And also think gives you the opportunity to take Terrell Bernard and say, hey, we appreciate you, how you've been gutting through it. Let's sit you down for a little bit. Rest.
No rush, right?
Up. Yep.
No rush.
100%. We're cool. We can mitigate your absence. Go be 100%. Chill. It'll be okay.
Right. And this game against the Bengals coming up, I think that's going to be a big test for Shaq Thompson because you talked about how, he really has stood out in the run fit stuff and his spacing and all understanding of route concepts and they're solid, but the athleticism isn't what it used to be, but again, you can play faster from the shoulders up if you see
it's going to be different for him, like matching Darnell Washington versus like Mike Gesicki or Yoshivas or like Irwin or whoever's in there. Yeah.
Right. So let's take a look at some of his film. We're going to start off with that physicality, that downhill nature. One thing I said about him from this game is he's played off the D-line really well, which is very, very difficult to do. It's something that Bernard was having issues with because of all the guys in and out of the lineup. But you see that physicality. You see him immediately attack his gap, and then he attacks that blocker. That blocker is barely off of 52 Jordan Phillips, and you can see Shaq already getting into him and reestablishing that line of scrimmage, taking away any type of cutback lane, which if he is able to hit this cutback lane, there's probably one right here behind Jordan Phillips. But you see that attack mentality of Shaq, get up under the pads of that guy, and then everyone on the front side of this run are able to make that tackle.
Yeah, creates some displacement there and knocks the center back into the backfield. And you said it, the way he attacks this block, he gets in, dips a little bit for as much as he can at his age and what his lower body looks like, but it's the hand usage. It looks like he's hitting the pad with the 3 points of contact, the helmet in both hands, gets underneath. You see him torque and drive back that center a little bit. There's pop, knocks him into the backfield. That type of downhill physicality that he's been able to bring, along with the processing, seeing it right away, triggering, and then having, the size and the frame to be able to play through it and create that kind of chaos and disruption up front. It's mattered so much for them.
Yeah, and so you see him here on this play, setting the defense, adjusting to the motion here. But watch again how he reads the defensive lineman in front of him and play off of him. We always talk about that second level. We always have to mention this, how the linebacker level, the second level, can make defenders at the first level correct. At a D tackle may pick the wrong gap, right? And this is a one gap defense. They may pick the wrong gap. They may be knocked into another gap. The linebacker can make that guy right by playing off him and just replacing him into the D tackle's gap. You see how well and how quickly that diagnosis of this play by Shaq Thompson of just getting into the gap, of beating that offensive lineman to the spot, to his assignment. And once again, he's not waiting. He's not waiting for Deion Walker, because Deion Walker's kind of two-gapping here. He's kind of reading it and waiting for this play to unfold. But instead, he says, you know what? I'm going to assume that Deion Walker's presence right here is going to play heavy into his gap, and I'm just going to go get into my gap. He knows that he has Daquan in pursuit here. He just gets downhill, plays off those D tackles, and makes a play on the ball with Daquan.
Yeah, very well said. And I like how, again, tying into kind of how he's built, he's able to lean into the hands a little bit. He doesn't get washed. He doesn't get moved. He's kind of able to treat the hands from the center 66 there as more of like a glancing blow than it is kind of like being attached to, driven, moved. He cuts this thing off. And yeah, good call. Daquan hustling down. Daquan had a good performance in this game, some good mitigation on some double teams. He ate some double teams to keep things clean. It may have looked ugly for him at times, but he kept Shaq clean on one. He had some nice hustle and penetration. On this one here, he had backdoors the center, sees what's going on, hustles right down the line with a good pursuit angle and good effort. And then that paired with Shaq sitting in his gap, Deion Walker getting over the top, leads the running back right into Daquan Jones's weight and arms.
Here's Shaq kind of, staying out of the traffic, staying over the top of the traffic. Really nice edge set by TJ Sanders. I thought he's played pretty well, all things considered. At the end,
some flashes in this one. It was cool.
Yeah, especially with some hand usage and stuff like that. But watch Shaq stay over the top of the traffic and just string the ball out here. Keys the ball, leverages the ball. Again, he doesn't have that burst that he used to. Again, former safety, playing outside backer early in his career. But you can see how that processing, angles, and leverage, and then finishing and tackling for that minimal gain really, really stood out on this play against the Steelers.
Yeah, I love how he's able, like you said, he's able to string it out and stay out of the mesh, stay out of the trash and traffic in front of him.
Just had to make a mesh reference in a film room where we're actually not going to cover mesh. It just always creeps up.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, it didn't even play a role here. I'm so sorry. He just stays clean, gets over the top. And I like the work from Sanders bad on there. I also like, what Dorian does. What gets me here, this is nitpicking. This is a clear hold on Dorian Williams from Jonnu Smith. I don't get how it's not called. Like, you see the extension and the pull. Shout out to Benford for playing through offensive lineman, keeping this thing funneled inside. Shaq is there to meet it, but that's a clear hold on Dorian Williams. But shout out to him and the rest of the front, helping to string that out. Shaq staying clean, playing over the top. Even a bit of a hold on Cole Bishop too, but whatever. A win's a win. I guess I don't want to cry over spilled milk that maybe went unspilled.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. All right, so it was one of those games for the run blitzes were nice. The linebacker play, even Milano, I thought played pretty well.
Yep.
And here's a play that kind of segues into the Christian Benford game, because he probably was the player of the game in many ways. And I think the game plan had a lot to do with that, Anthony, if we're talking, being honest here, because we talked about how they wanted to shadow DK Metcalf, right, with Benford. And now there were brackets. He wasn't all by himself.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, whether it was zone or man, I know Sal asked Ben for that, and they made it clear that if even when it was zone, he was shadowing to Metcalf's side, but there was help over the top. But I thought that played to the size of Benford, but also Metcalf, and again, getting the ball out of Rodgers' hand quickly, and that game plan. But it also allowed Benford to just be aggressive and get up near the line of scrimmage, get his hands on that big wide receiver. And in many ways, that shadowing and that part of the game plan put Benford at the point of attack on some runs because they ran blitz him. He had several really nice tackles for loss, off of run blitzes, corner blitzes off the edge, which you'll see here in a second. But also, again, when it came to his interception, he was, again, shadowing Metcalf to the bottom of the screen, as you'll see in a few minutes. And then even the fumble that he picked up in return for the pick six or for the 6 points, that was another run blitz, a corner blitz that he was right there. So I think that game plan put Benford at the point of attack in and around the ball, and it really made a difference in this game. It was, aside from the hit on Josh, the plays by Benford were the plays that really turned this game on its head.
Yeah, that's very fair. He had a really strong game. It's crazy that, as he's gotten healthier, he's starting to look a little more like the Christian Benford that we expected to see this year. And yeah, wild. And I like the game plan as well that you mentioned, like just letting him meet DK at the line so much and stop him before he can even get started. You saw just beating him up. There's a reason why. Oh, when was it? Maybe through the second quarter, him and DK started getting into it because it's typical. Anybody who gets in DK's face and plays him like that, like DK.
It's very easy to get under skin.
Yes, it's very. I mentioned it during the game. DK Metcalf is one of those guys who gets a nemesis on every team that he plays because he just gets frustrated so easily. And he's not one of those guys who, when he gets frustrated, he plays better. He'll take himself out of the game when he gets frustrated because he gets so
totally throws him off.
Exactly. And that Benford play style worked into it, like fighting fire with fire, the size, the physicality, but then it also helped for these run blitzes because he's in press so much in this game. So now when he's coming up and he's going to run blitz, it's not as much of a tell. It's not like, oh, let's keep an eye on the corner who's been playing off or who's been doing this. It was just such a natural extension and fit. And he did well with press and coverage, and he did well kind of funneling into the run blitz aspect, which he had a lot of success in this game, like you mentioned.
Yeah, you see him coming off the left side of the screen here. It's something the Bills ran a bunch, and we've broken these down a bunch. You see these guys kind of slash inside, and then they'll bring a corner, they'll bring a safety, they'll bring the nickel off the edge.
This has been a thing for them this year. We've seen it kind of somewhat routinely throughout the season.
And then I want you to pay attention to Shaq Thompson coming over the top here, meeting Benford at the ball as well. Again, just you see how he reads it. It's almost like he knows where that entry point for that running back is, and allows those backside tackle to bring him to the ball. And again, it's just population to the ball, 3, 4, 5 guys in and around the ball at the line of scrimmage. These are the kind of plays that kept the Steelers in those 2nd and 3rd and longs, and again allowed the Bills defense to kind of tee off and do their thing and execute the game plan that they wanted.
Yeah, you hit most of it. I don't have too much to add here. I love the angle from Benford, getting right down the line, not getting too upfield. You can see him kind of break down a little bit to make sure he's in good position. You highlighted Shaq. Yeah, it's like Shaq sees the pull from 76 and is almost like, I know where it's going. I know where it's going to be. You can see him eye it, key it, and then how he fits. And also shout out to AJ Epinesa, diving inside the left tackle, plays through that arm, sets himself up right in the hole, right? Makes shop right there, gets played through. But then, like you said, there's population of the ball, so that helps as well. Just a really nice play on that one, and good call too. And then the individual execution on top of it.
All right, so now we're looking at Benford here, top of the screen versus Metcalf. Again, you see him squared up on the wide receiver, but there is help over the top, and they're trying to run Metcalf across the field here. Mesh. And with mesh, god damn it. So you see, but the low kick step by Benford off the snap, and you see him immediately attached to him. And this is important when mesh happens, especially when you have this guy setting the depth for Metcalf, because of course they're trying to get it to Metcalf here, but the ability of Benford to get into this hip pocket and then get into that trail mode, it allows him to avoid any type of rub here by the depth setter, 81 here. And so now, Rodgers, he's so zoned in on Metcalf that he misses a guy going back this way. He tries throwing it to Metcalf, and it's just not there. It's great coverage. But again, it comes back to that game plan, allowing Benford to play aggressive. Don't worry about down the field. be aggressive, get your hands on the guy. You're a bigger DB. Go attack the bigger wide receiver in Metcalf.
Yeah, that's my biggest point for this one that you highlighted. I love that he attached early and stayed right on him. He reduces the, his surface area, so he's not really going to get picked by Jonnu coming on that, the slightly higher, shallow drag there. And again, like I mentioned earlier with DK, like DK's a house and he's an extremely fast house. So like you don't want him to get started. And so the way to kind of limit that or mitigate that, get hands on him early, right off the line, right off his release. And you can see Benford just living in his hip pocket right there. Even if that ball is on point from Rodgers, Benford's there. He's able to kind of get a hand on it. That's just a really good job from Benford, staying in complete phase from start to finish, getting his hands on there on DK, playing under control. Eyes are back to the quarterback. He's seeing what's going on. He's in complete phase and complete control for the entirety of this rep.
And we got some news here that's breaking. I just checked. I'm pretty sure that this is the case. Let me see if I can bring it up onto the screen.
We couldn't have done this 2 hours ago. We couldn't have done film. I swear they pick on us. I swear.
This is Dean. Yeah, this is Dean.
I swear.
So let's see right here. Looks like Darius Slay has been brought in by the Bills.
Interesting.
Yep. Claimed today on waivers by the Bills. Slay now goes from playing against the Bills last week to being a part of that team this week. Interesting.
Interesting indeed.
I
feel like the Bills were like, waivers. Oh, you claimed Adam Thielen? We're going to take Darius Slay.
So I wonder, so is that
interesting?
Is that to the roster then? He's got to go right to the roster? Because that was waivers, right? So
yeah.
That is interesting.
I have to watch his I haven't seen much of him this year because I haven't watched a bunch of Steelers defense, and knowing how they've been struggling at corner, and he was let go. I mean, maybe it's because our boy Asante Samuel Jr. came in and did some things, and they were like, hey, he could still tackle and his neck's okay. Let's rock with Asante. But I mean, they were starting, Pierre, I think 42, who went down in this game. Yeah. And he was rocky at times when I was watching their tape. So having Slay on the sideline and then letting him go, I'm interested to kind of go back and watch the tape. I don't have any thoughts at this moment, but it's an interesting claim, and I'm fine with it at minimum for depth.
Yeah.
I mean,
you guys, you're in the film room. We're not just going to throw anything out there. We're going to go take a look at the film. We'll get back to you. But obviously a veteran, he is 34 years old.
Yep.
I don't know how much he has as far as man versus zone capabilities left, given his age, but
give us a bunch of indicators on the Eagles maybe in a couple weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that'd be great, right? Yeah,
I would take that. Maybe right. Tell us everything about this offense and what's going on. How can we make them more upset in the pass game? Yeah, this one is I don't dislike it or like it. I'm not confused, but I'm just more like, okay.
Yeah, let's see if I can bring something up real quick. Let's look at.
And I'm seeing. I'll grab some more. Someone said, "Whoa, that's big." Kyer's out there too. Yeah, Bills legend Kyer Williams. Williams saying, "I'm confused." I think it could be the veteran presence, who he is and what he is in this stage. Like, listen, he's not big play Slay like he was at one point with Detroit or even early on with Philly, but you get a guy from an experience standpoint. I don't hate it. I don't think it's necessarily a dart throw, but again, I don't think he's going to be eating into Benford snaps or Hairston snaps or Trey White snaps. I don't think he's all of a sudden become.
He's got a lot of snaps this year. I didn't realize he played 10 games this year.
I would say I saw him week 1. I watched their stuff against the Jets, and I watched some of their stuff against Seattle, and I think week 2 week 2. But other than that, I haven't really paid attention to him. And then I was really, because of the weather and everything going on with the Bills O-line, I was focused so much from a run defense standpoint and a pressure standpoint going into scouting for this game for Bills versus Steelers that I didn't even really take a peek at him too much.
So looks like a majority of his snaps are single high, 128 snaps in cover 1, 177 in cover 3. Let's see if I can do some pass defense stuff here. Sorry, guys, bear with us. We're trying to, make things work here. So
let's see. And then if as you're pulling that up, his last, he was getting full snaps really going into the Packers game in week 8. He only had 32 total snaps, but then he had 62 against the Colts in week 9. And then Week 10 on, it was 16, 0, 20, 0. But he was really from week 1 through 7 was logging the run defense snaps, the coverage snaps. He was a legitimate starter for this team.
Yeah, it looks like he's got 22 targets in cover 1, allowed 13. That's a 59% completion percentage, which is not awful, but it's 160 yards. So you could see there's some big plays given up there. We don't have time to go through all of those.
Big play Slay, but in not the way that you want it to be.
Exactly. Yeah. So 13 completions for 160 yards. He has 3 plays on the ball. Let's see if I can bring these up real quick, and then we'll jump back into Benford. Boom. Let's see. All right, you can see that, right? Let's take
he's number 23 at the bottom.
23 bottom of the screen. Yep. So off coverage, man. You see him trapping there. Really nice play there. Really nice play. I like that. Yep, that was a really nice play. You see him, 2 out. Yeah. He goes ahead and breaks it on 44, the tight end there, Fannin. As you said, I like that read. More of like that 2 read type stuff where 2 is out. Slay's jumping it, and that safety is getting over the top. Really good stuff on there. I
like how he opens up to the number 1, but his eyes are very much on the number 2, and then he jumps it and mad at himself because he didn't get the pick.
Yeah, he should have, honestly.
He really should have had the pick.
Let's see.
Somebody in the chat, Mike in the chat said, well, this is an unexpected detour.
Yeah, right. Well, especially if he's right onto the roster, like that's quite the move right there. And that's like, hey, yeah, you're going to play some reps, some meaningful reps here. Another off. Okay. So you're seeing a lot of off coverage, top of the screen. You see him as soon as that guy hooks up. Oh, I'm sorry. As soon as he hooks it up, you see him break on it from the first down marker and make a play on the ball, play through that wide receiver. Not a bad play there. That's another one of his pass breakups. I skipped one right here. There we go. All right, Patriots. Oh, that'll be interesting to go back and watch, right?
Yeah.
The Patriots still on the schedule. See how we played against them. Bottom of the screen, number 23 is Slay. Single high. Looks like single high coverage to start the snap. Again, off coverage, though. You drop into, looks like cover 3. I love this. He's playing that seam, right, Anthony, in that cover 3. It's one of the weaknesses of cover 3, right?
Absolutely.
See him attach to that vertical and go make a play on the ball.
What's funny is I remember this one because I watched this game from more of a Patriots offense perspective. Yeah, that's a nice play. Kind of spacing out. He's reading the QB's eyes. He's reading the vertical from the tight end, and he's able to attach. That's a really nice play as that one of those deep third defenders, especially with the post safety leaning more towards the other side. And also, Eric, I wanted to confirm it. So, yeah, so he will go right to the 53.
Okay.
But that means the Bills either have to have an open spot for him or have to create one in order to make room for him.
That's where we're going to have to figure that out later on. Since we looked at 3 of the pass breakups, let's look at the 3 plays that he was charged with a touchdown, which I don't know, top of the screen here. This is, I know he was charged with this for whatever reason. I
don't like his finish
right here.
I don't like his finish, but it's interesting that he got charged with this.
I know. I don't know why he's not running here either. Like he just kind of like, was he hurt here or something?
Loafing.
Yeah, a little loaf action. Yeah, come on now, go hit him.
Yeah,
especially use a sideline as your boundary too, right?
Yeah, he could have put a body into him, knocked him out. He could have gone low, could have done something.
Ooh, Bengals game. Yeah, looks like he's in the slot, right?
Oh shit!
Ooh. And Higgins didn't even get the ball on this when he just cleared it out for the guy underneath. And guess what concept this is, guys? Double Chinese. We just can't get away from mesh and double China, dude. Get the 2 inbreakers by the outside guys. You have the gangster release, is what we like to call this.
Dude, I was gonna, gangster release.
Higgins on Darius Slay, just clearing things out for the.
Who had that really good gangster release when we were at the Senior Bowl the first year?
Right? Was it USC? Was it
Brendan Rice?
Brendan Rice, yeah.
Good call.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that one charges Slay too, even though he's on his ass in the end zone.
I wasn't expecting.
Some of these touchdowns being charged at him are questionable. I think he's top of the screen here. Off coverage. Looks like
I remember
deep
this
crossers. Garrett Wilson.
Ramsey slices on the crosser from the other side, and it leaves Slay having to get across the top on Garrett Wilson,
you get
and he's done for.
Slice right here on 83, so you get out leveraged. Wilson gets out leveraged by Slay gets out leveraged by Wilson there. Really nice throw up and over the top. So that one, okay, he earned that one.
Yes.
But
the other two are yeah, I'm still laughing though at how Higgins blew him up. That was so crazy. That was so physical and mean.
So yeah, stay tuned. We'll obviously get some film on Darius Slay being brought on to the Bills. Of course, Brandon Beane's like, screw you. You guys are doing a live show film room, one that is probably going to be run long anyways. And we just wanted to throw a monkey wrench and all of that. So thank you, Brandon Beane. We appreciate it.
I'm sincerely frustrated right now. And I was thinking like, man, like, cool. Like we'll do the film room. Sabres play tonight. AEW's on. Now I'm like, I'm going to have to go watch Darius Slay.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So let's dive back into this Bills-Steelers matchup. We'll talk more about Slay on the other shows and social media, obviously. So rushing coverage, I thought were really good in this game, especially when you consider, again, the game plan and how the Steelers really operate in their offense. So you get to the top of the screen, you're going to get Benford matched up again with Metcalf, man coverage, Dorian Williams as well on that slot defender. And then you get the high-low. We talked about Shaq Thompson earlier and what he's brought, and that the calmness, the composure and poise. This is that high-low that Anthony referenced. Really good high-low. They want to see Thompson jump this so that they can get this guy in behind him. But you can see him and Taron Johnson, Shaq Thompson and Taron Johnson, do a great job of passing this off. And this is something, again, when Bernard was in there and he was injured and he's trying to work through these things, he was a little up and down and he was herky-jerky, as I said. And this has happened where the middle of the field was getting attacked, and you see a good pass off between Johnson and Shaq Thompson here on top of very good pressure from Joey Bosa, and that really disrupts the rhythm of the Steelers offense.
Yeah, this one was really nice to see the pass off, like you said, like being able to execute against its concept and the route distribution, really from both Shaq and then Taron Johnson locking down on Austin underneath. Shaq recognizing what's going on with Washington, gets under him a little bit. Maybe Rodgers has the opportunity to still fit that in, but to your point, Bosa gets a really good rush, and then everything to the middle and to the left, and essentially becomes, null and void because Rodgers is off his spot. I really like how Taron attaches. Harrison's doing some work as well. There's really nowhere for Rodgers to go. Pass rush and coverage working in tandem, but a really nice pass off and kind of the crux of the whole distribution there between Taron Johnson and Shaq.
Yeah, and this is the second half now. Early in the second half, right out of the halftime, you see Christian Benford top of the screen. He's coming off the edge there, and that, again, typically this is just a run blitz. Bills, on first down especially, you see them, able to pick up that ball. Christian Benford is, thanks to the pressure from Joey Bosa, and I'll show it from the end zone angle. Just really, really good work. Again, getting population to the ball. You have these guys slanting inside. Bosa does a great job of working the outside edge of that lineman, but then circling back around the pocket there and then just laying the big hit on Aaron Rodgers and really just driving him into the dirt.
Looking back on this, I'm surprised he didn't get flagged.
I know,
because he drove him.
He did.
He drove. He exploded like through him, and it's just up. I'm sorry. I know he got hurt. It's just funny to me how he just got wrecked.
He went from looking old to looking like senile old, right? Like he is bleeding at the nose. Like he's probably got a couple black eyes because of it. Yeah, Bosa did a great job again, circling that pocket on the edge of the pocket, back around, making a hit on Aaron Rodgers. But I also like the linebacker. You see some physicality from Shaq Thompson, passes him off to Matt Milano.
Yes.
But then watch Shaq also zone in on the check down to kind of take that away. And look where Aaron Rodgers is going now. Everyone is covered, and that allows him to hold on the ball a little longer, and Bosa lays a hit, and Benford scoops and scores for 6 points.
Yeah, this play was so nice from all the little nuance pieces. Like even starting, Dorian tries to get a piece of Washington, gets hands on him a little, but then Shaq gives him a good contact, good reroute, passes him right to Milano, who Milano is waiting. I love how Milano's waiting, just completely collects him and attaches. And then, Shaq closes down on the check down and then closes down Warren literally and just puts him to the turf once he sees what's going on, drops him down almost in sync with Rodgers getting driven into turf. And then, because they brought Benford on the blitz, he's an extra body, scoop and score. That play right there, everything changed. You're sitting there at 7-3. Your offense has looked a bit sluggish, though they've had some success. This game is very much hanging in the balance, and you come out on the first play and just change the game and put points on the board and take the lead. Everything really started to swing in the Bills' favor after this.
Right. And then, soon after that turnover, again, you see Benford bottom of the screen where Metcalf is to the trip set. And post snap, you see the Bills drop out. But again, you mentioned Shaq Thompson and how he's matching. Look at his eyes. He realizes that the number 3 right here is going out to the flat. So he's not going to worry about the seam being attacked from that guy. So he gets his eyes on who essentially becomes the number 2 tight end there. And he's running that sail route. And so now, again, look at this triangle. They have Metcalf essentially bracketed a triangle. But then, again, that put Benford in a bail technique, eyes on the routes, but also the quarterback. And it's just really good spacing. You see Shaq Thompson attack that sail concept, making this throw that much more difficult. And the ball sails by Mason Rudolph over the top of Washington. And Benford just in the right spot at the right time for the interception.
Really good awareness from Benford, knowing where he is on the boundary, gets both feet down. I love the spacing. He talked about it post game. I forget who asked him, so apologies if they somehow watch this and are upset they didn't get credit. But they asked him about it, and he talked about how he said he thought they were running double sevens, so he knew that he was getting one from DK and he was getting one underneath. He was trying to space them accordingly, and then he talked about reading Mason Rudolph's shoulder angle and trying to figure out where the ball was going to go to. And you can see him, as you talked about, he's spacing DK and Darnell Washington. His eyes are on Mason Rudolph, and as Rudolph loads up and goes for that transfer and goes for the throw, Benford settles a little bit, comes forward, and like you said, right place at the right time. It was an overthrow for a multitude of reasons, but he had to be in that right spot, and he was because of his spacing and how he diagnosed what was going on in front of him.
Yeah, and this had to be a dime because, again, you have Dorian closing, you have Shaq Thompson on inside leverage, closing on Washington. And then, like you said, backside there, spacing-wise by Benford, boundary awareness for the interception. Really good work there. And like I said, it came back to the game plan, having him shadow or align to the same side as Metcalf, whether it was zone or man. And it really put him at the point of attack against the run, but also against the pass, as you can see there from that interception. That very good spacing and processing by Benford. Awesome game from him. Awesome game from Shaq Thompson. That was some good stuff. And even a little film breakdown there on Darius Slay, who was just brought onto the Bills roster. Fun stuff.
Yeah, I'm really interested to kind of see what they can be defensively going forward, especially with in Cincinnati, a much not even different caliber of opponent, but a different style of opponent. And considering everything they've had at quarterback this year, their advanced metrics on the offensive side of the ball aren't bad. They're 7th in rushing DVOA. They're able to do some things. And then you've got Jamar Chase, you've got Joe Burrow. We'll see if they get T. Higgins. I'm interested to see what this Bills defense can do now. Again, Pittsburgh's offense, they are what they are. But you knew what the assignment was coming into this game. You executed on that assignment. You did your job. You got out of town with a W. Can you stack that against a team that has traditionally given you some problems? And in a game where it's not must win for the Bills, but you want to keep the train running. You want to keep, this momentum going, this positive play going. I'm really excited to see how they show up from a game plan standpoint and execution standpoint against the Bengals this weekend after what they did against Pittsburgh.
Talk about keeping the train running. I mean, the Cook train, right? The Bills offensive line train. Awesome stuff from the Bills offensive line, tight ends, wide receivers. Pretty much anyone that stepped foot on the field for the Bills offense was blocking their ass off in this game against the Steelers. And the Bills, as we'll break down here in a few minutes, the Bills ran a lot of the same concepts, but there was just, different looks in many times. I thought Cromer and Brady did a good job of making everything look the same, as we'll show you with the run game film. And I had a player tell me that the Steelers defense they were calling out plays and they still couldn't stop us. And to me, a lot of Bills fans will take that as a negative, that Brady doesn't have a large playbook and he doesn't have creativity. But no, if the team's not stopping it, and if they're consistently trying to adjust, which the Steelers we'll show you, and they still couldn't stop it. They just didn't have an answer, and that's why the Bills went back to the well numerous times.
Yeah, and to your point, you can devil's advocate that thing, right? Like you
Sure.
just keep doing the same thing, what happens? But there is something to be said for, the same thing for a pitcher. Like you can tell every hitter, hey, I'm going fastball up and inside. But if your location is on point and you throw it with the right velocity, they can't hit it. So they can know the pitch is coming. But if that pitch is so good that they can't do anything about it, it doesn't matter if they know it's coming or not. And we've seen this before. Go back to the Dallas game a couple years ago where they ran dart like 50,000 times and all the tackle pull stuff because
Panthers
Cowboys,
game.
yeah, good call.
Panthers game too, zone toss.
Exactly. All the zone toss
The
stuff.
counter stuff. Yeah.
People were making fun of it early in the
Yeah.
game. Like, here comes another zone toss. And then all of a sudden it's stacked and it added. Now, you can see the negative, which we've talked about on the show,
Sure.
where you can get too predictable. And, if it's not broken, don't fix it. But it looks like it's a little broken. So try and fix it, but you're not. But in this game, especially from the middle of the second quarter on, when they started to introduce duo and they started working it in, more, but it started early on with the formations they were running, the personnel that they were running, making everything look the same. And to your point, you could see the Steelers adjusting. They were going with different fronts. You saw guys coming forward almost knowing what was coming. And what was cool to see was the execution from the offensive line, the tight ends, and the wide receivers. But then even when someone would lose up front, James Cook would be like, oh, okay, I'm just going to do something. And now you guys are wrong. Exactly. Like he would make the Steelers wrong even when they were right at times with their fit. It was a nice, complete performance from the run game on a day where they needed to, because the pass catchers are banged up. The weather elements weren't great for passing the ball. Man, it was awesome to see them just mash on the ground.
Yeah, James Cook, 32 rushes, 144 yards. Again, played above the scheme, like you said. Great vision, great balance. The game plan we're going to show you of making the cornerbacks tackle of the Steelers, it was money. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And so we're going to highlight duo. We're going to highlight mid zone. We're going to even throw an inside zone in there, I believe.
Dude, I can't tell you how much that was throwing me early on with the mids. It started out with mid zone and there was an inside zone track. And I charted it as inside zone.
Yeah.
That was a cool little wrinkle on top of it, which they really don't do a lot. Sorry, I got excited because I did the same thing. Okay. I was like, what is going on? I was like, here comes mid zone. And then he'd take the step and get north and south and square his shoulders earlier. And I was like, inside zone. Okay.
So let's get to some of those runs, and we're going to, progress through the run game in order. As you said, kind of start off with mid zone stuff, and we're going to try to show you the differences because, whether it's the personnel that's in there here, it's 11 personnel. They ran some 12, they ran 13. And they attacked for all these concepts that we're going to talk about. This is early in the game, 19 yards mid zone. So on zone runs versus duo, zone runs, you see Connor McGovern calling out Patrick Queen. All right. You see the running back track left here. We know that we'd see that obviously after the play. He is pointing out their mic point here and who they're going to be zone blocking to, because this is mid zone. I'll show you how that differentiates when they run duo. So Queen is the mic point here. So the offensive line, they're all going to be running their zone blocking here from right to left on the screen. And this is why I love this game plan and really this mid zone play all together from the Bills, is because you can see the Steelers are in man coverage. So it's although it's 11 personnel, you can see that everyone they're all over here. And on the snap, watch what happens to those guys on what ends up being the backside of this formation, right? All those guys have to fit, right? They have to fit into the run gaps. All the offensive line is zone blocking left. Those guys have to come downhill and establish the line of scrimmage, establish the edge. And so now with James Cook, he's immediately cutting it back, because you can see it's meant to cut back. Is it meant to cut back all the way to the corners? No, that's just James Cook's vision. He's one of the few that have the vision, the pacing, and the burst or acceleration to cut this all the way back. So watch Hawes, watch Shakir, watch Shavers, and watch how, boom, now you get your one-on-one. James Cook cutting it all the way back up against Porter Jr. there. He's able to get past him and up the field for 19 yards. So again, when it comes to zone blocking versus duo, zone blocking, the offensive line, the center is usually going to point out to the mic, and they're going to be working to the play side mic. On duo, as we'll show later, it's actually the opposite. So if the Bills were running duo to the right here, and you're going to get that same mic point. So again, when you hear these plays, the Bills ran it 29 times, this and all that. Oh, they knew it coming. Yeah, they may know it's coming, but they're not knowing until really after the snap, because these mic points and some of the communication that happens along the offensive line between the linemen is different at times based on, the mic point and, again, what play they're running, whether it's a zone run or duo, which is gap without a puller.
Yes. And, a couple more things to kind of, if you want to be able to pick these things out, we, like Eric mentioned, we're running mid zone here. Mid zone runs, your aim point is the inside leg of that offensive tackle. And you can see Cook on the snap. He'll get that drop step with his right foot. And he has some of that shoulder lean, like he's going towards that B gap, the inside of the tackle, like you mentioned, changes track, gets north and south, is able to cut this thing back. And whether it's on these runs or even on duo, you're going to get that purposeful, like, defender that's left unblocked. In an ideal world, it's the weakest tackling defender on the team. It's usually a nickel or a corner at some point. In this instance, and a lot of times in this game, it was Joey Porter Jr., number 24.
Yes.
He made one tackle at the end of the first half where he limited Cook to 4 yards. That could have been a house call. But for the majority of this game, he just kept squeezing down too much, like you saw there. Something that we talked about Dorian Strong struggling with a bit against duo when we were at the scrimmage together. But you saw Porter he'd get too close. He'd squeeze down too much, and Cook would have no problem cutting back against the grain, turning the corner, and getting upfield.
So same personnel here. This is an 8-yard gain on mid zone. The Steelers change it up. You saw some of that motion. So you see, it looks like it's going to be man coverage once again. And the Steelers are in a tight front here. It's more of a tight front where you're getting like 4 eyes here by the DNs here. And this is one of those formations that can help defend the run, but also the pass here. And so again, watch the footwork by Cook on this one. So we have mid zone early in the play. You're going to see McGovern point out the linebacker right there, Patrick Queen, but he's covered. McGovern's covered, so he's not working to the linebacker, but he's letting everyone else know that's who we're working to. And so on the snap, Cook takes his normal footwork, and then just watch how the backside of this play develops. Watch the block by Shakir Hawes, how they switch it up there, get angle, boom. Now you get this whole area cut off here, and then the footwork.
Cook's feet, man. This is
it's so pretty, man. Look at the work between Anderson, Torrance, and McGovern, and how Cook just works around the block by Anderson, just slips by that block and is able to get up the field for 8 yards.
It's a little bit of the slalom ski style combined. Yeah. It almost, when you watch it in real time or even slow-mo, it looks like he's skating. Like he looks like he's on a hockey rink and he's just skating. The precision in the footwork, the fluidity, and how smooth everything is, that footwork is so technically precise and so pretty, and it allows him to work through the traffic and find the hole like you do on zone, flow like water and go wherever you need to be. Just such great work from Cook there, and good feet. You can tell he's doing a lot of the icky shuffle practice drills on the ladder in the gym to just have that, man, like that. I must have rewound that maybe like 15, 20 times when I watched it on tape from both angles, because I was just really impressed by the feet.
So now we get a 15-yard gain on mid zone from Davis, but the Bills have 12 personnel here instead of 11 personnel like you've seen on the prior plays. Still an odd type front from the Steelers, but they run a little gap exchange here with the nose tackle slanting into the B gap, and then Queen's supposed to come over the top here. Again, mid zone run, same traffic, same footwork here by Davis, and you can see that little gap exchange between Queen and Keanu Benton here. And the offensive line does a great job of picking this up. So you'll see Torrance seal here, and then Anderson works to that next level. Look how he picks up Queen right there, and boom. Now you get the cut from Davis in 15 yards. It was awesome to see Davis get going here in this game, given the lack of reps and plays that he's gotten and looks. It was really nice to see him get north and south on some of these zone runs, which I know a lot of people think he can't do, but he showed in this game that he can.
If they can start to get him going, and then he can be a legitimate like 1B or a 2 to Cook come playoff time with what the rest of this run game is, that would just be so good for this Bills offense. I don't have too much to add. This one, you see, it plays out a little more like traditional mid zone with how Davis keeps his track, and then he sees, everything front side is kind of fit. Let me put my foot in the ground, see what else I can do. And then that cutback in the hole, really, really, really nice.
Yeah, Kevin, appreciate you with this question. He said, or statement. So mid zone goes into the same direction of the mic point with a cutback, and dual goes in the opposite direction of the mic point. Correct. Because you got, again, think about it this way. Zone runs, you're working towards the play side linebacker. So if the run's going left, like we're seeing here, the zone blocking is going to be working to the play side linebacker, usually that mic linebacker. Now on duo, as we'll show you here in a play or two, it's going to be opposite. So you'd say, okay, you're going to get the same mic point, say on this play, you're going to get the same mic point to the backside linebacker here, but now the ball's going this way because it's like a gap run. Everyone's essentially blocking down and taking the gap inside of them, as you'll see in a couple minutes. So Kevin, great point there. We appreciate you, bringing that up, and also appreciate you being an insider, man. We appreciate that a lot.
Good call. Yeah.
No, just good run here, Davis. He got going. He had a couple plays in a row where he got going. And so we're gonna fast forward a little bit. We're gonna show.
Yeah, they ran that back to back. I think they did. It was like three plays in a row. Back the first two were great, and then I think he lost like 4 or 7 or something.
Yeah, they definitely did. Brady did not waste many attempts. If he had a successful run, he usually went right back to it on the very next play, which is kind of his MO, right?
Absolutely. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
All right. So again, now you're getting that 11 personnel again. You got the 2 wide receivers off the left, the tight end. And now I want to say this was into the second quarter, right? When they started pivoting to
the first
duo,
from I'm just a guy, but my charting, the first duo run came at the 8:04 mark in Q2.
Yeah. And so now duo, now look at McGovern. He's pointing to the backside linebacker here. But as I outlined there with Cook, he is going to his right after he hits those smelling salts. And you're not getting much motion from the Steelers defenders here, but see 8-minute mark. There it is.
8:04. It was there you go.
Josh right there. He's pointing out the safety. And so you see Duggar start to kind of creep down. And that's why you'll see Shavers kind of motion in here. So they want to account for a down safety. So when you'll see the mic point, but you also see Josh point out the safety. If this safety comes down to the play side, then this is what's going to happen with Shavers. And so again, here's duo. They're all working, right? They're all working gap blocks. So they're going to be going this direction. They're responsible for their inside gap with the ball going to the left side of the screen here. But look at the blocking on the play side of this by Shakir, Hawes, Shavers, and how they clean things up. So you have Shakir kicking out 26. You have Hawes busting his butt against TJ Watt. But I love Shavers and how tight he is to TJ Watt and how he cleans up that edge. The Bills did a great job of this, whether it was mid-zone, whether it was duo, whether it was pass protection, cleaning up the edges of this odd front type look of the Steelers. And Shavers' tight line here to Duggar holds up Watt as well. It's almost like a 2-for-1 and allows Cook to get north and south. But more importantly, as was the game plan, getting Cook versus a corner on this play. And look at what he does to that corner, just pulls away from him for a big game.
Yep, Pierre takes his angle a little too far outside. I mean, it's tough for him too. He's got to fit a legitimate alley, not even necessarily a crease, to your point, because of what Shavers does. They just seal that edge. And then Shakir on Nichols 26 engages him, stalk block, drives him out. You get a great fit. You got the front side work with Torrance engaging 95 Benton, a little gallop step there from Anderson to put him to the ground. He works to Queen. What was also nice in this game too, from a Bills standpoint, they were consistently getting hat on a hat. Like the Steelers were never really gapped out with enough guys in the box to account for how many gaps the Bills had. And so the Bills were like, cool, we'll just get hat on a hat. We'll block you one-on-one and create some explosives in that way like they did. So nice to see here. The only things I want to add to a couple more little like pieces on duo for anyone to help like the whole recognition conversation, since I'm not going to harp on it too much, since people want to, exaggerate certain things and make things seem like they're not and mislead people. Not us. If you're looking at duo runs, it's always run to the tight end side, and tying into the whole mic point thing, the center is going to work essentially backside. So the front side of this run is from the camera angle we're at, it is to the left side. Where is Connor McGovern working? He is working to the backside. So you'll get the center working backside on duo. And then also on the backside, you'll get some big on big blocking, meaning an actual tackle on a defensive end. You see Ryan Vandermark on Alex Highsmith there. And then the running backs track, it's going to be directly at that play side linebacker, as Eric highlighted within that track. So a couple little more pieces to help you diagnose duo. They used to run this a ton, which is why I think like we got so good at recognizing it, because it was their like concept of choice for a couple years ago, forever. And now it just kind of is like ingrained in the brain.
And as McGovern talked about when I had him in the film room a few weeks ago, the Bills, a lot of their run calls have two run calls, multiple calls, and they can just switch it, whether it's a concept or direction. Well, it looked like to me after watching this play for 7 yards, it looked like the Bills initially had this as a mid-zone call here, where they're going to obviously run it this way and cut it back. But because of what happens here, you're going to see them alert this call. And I think this had to do with the numbers game. And, the Bills have 6 blockers when you're talking from the center to the left side of the screen. And with the safeties deep here, a 2 high safety look in Ramsey and Duggar deep, that gave them a numbers advantage to the field side here. So I think Josh switched it to duo on this play. And again, getting that numbers game and that space game. And so now the guys are working to Queen. He's the only linebacker really at that second level, but you're going to see Torrance go ahead and work to him as Queen jumps into this gap. And this is the thing we talked about with Cook, Ant, right? The play could be shut down, which it is here. You can see the Steelers have leverage on this play on the ball, but because you have James Cook, he can play above the scheme. And I want you to watch 78 here, because you can see this massive lane right here. Watch 78. He's got his eyes in his proper gap. But as soon as Cook presses the line of scrimmage, you see him switch. He gets his helmet on the interior gap. So now you have 2 guys in one gap. And guess what? James Cook has the patience and the ability to bounce that and get upfield for a 7-yard gain on a play where the defense actually did a really good job. All things considered, the Bills audibling to this, again, from what I think was mid-zone to duo.
Yeah, great call on the audible there. You can see Allen alert, and you don't see, for those who don't know, you don't really see a duo run cut through to the backside a bunch. It usually it's rare. It either stays front side and gets in between like the offensive line and the tight end, or in James Cook's case, he'll bounce it outside, get around the corner one-on-one and face a corner like he did in this game at times too. So for him to have the patience and press and then have the wherewithal and the vision and the feet to be able to move this to the backside is just really cool. And again, like you said, this is another example. Like Pittsburgh gummed it up front. The Bills checked to it. They gummed it up. And then Cook is like, no, I'm still going to find my way, forward and through. And a good tackle by Joey Porter to come down and get him down there. This could have been an even bigger gain. But that's Cook just being patient, seeing what's there, and then bang, little jump cut, little lateral explosion to kind of get sideways and get through the gap there on a track that doesn't traditionally happen on duo.
Right. And so here's duo again. And we talked about the offensive line and how well they block, but the wide receivers, tight ends, they did such a great job of sorting things out. And again, you're running the same play multiple times and you're having that type of success. That execution was critically important. And again, you're seeing it versus different fronts, different numbers in the box as far as the Steelers defense. And so watch this play duo. Again, Josh pointing out the safety coming down. So they obviously bring Shavers in right there. And the Steelers try something different here. You see TJ Watt kind of, squeeze down. You see Wilson, number 41, kind of dive inside as a ball snapped. And there's some really good numbers to the left side of the screen here, to the strength of the formation by the Bills. But it doesn't matter. Really good work by those guys up front, and Shavers, Shakir being tight to the tight ends block. You see Wilson get picked up by Hawes. Here comes Shakir. Boom. I love Shavers' line here, how he just hugs and almost just scrapes through him, just cleans up that edge as we talked about. And then boom, picks up Duggar. And now you got your one-on-one with Cook on Porter. And this was another one of those plays that they ran back to back. And Cook this time, instead of going out of bounds, goes right into Joey Porter Jr. there for the first down. I really like the finish on that play. And overall, the scheme and blocking were just excellent.
I believe this one came right after the one where Porter made a pretty good tackle and held Cook to like
cut it back, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
and he got his arm around him, brought him down, and this was a 2nd and 6. And that's part of what makes me think is Cook bounces it here. I wonder if Cook was upset about last time because he gives him a little like that added the shoulder right into Porter. I feel like he was like, nah, you're not going to get me down with an arm this time. Like, I'm going to get some more. And I love the little physicality at the end to play through Porter. And then Porter's on top of him. Cook flips him over, continuing the chippiness. They're starting to really mash and churn on the ground. And this is, for a lot of corners, this is going to be difficult, because you're in one-on-one in space with a running back of Cook's ability. And it starts, like you said, the highlighting up front, like everybody getting on their guys, flowing and fitting by design, Shavers and Shakir and Hawes, just the front side workers.
This sort, right? Yeah. Yes. The front side workers, like you said, finding work like this. He's lined up out here, but he slants inside. Now they're all playing off of that block by Hawes. It's special stuff. And I said that Shavers, he had great game blocking. He has for most of the year. He's doing a lot of the stuff that we praised Mac Hollins for last year, especially on duo. Remember when Anderson and Hollins were cleaning up duo against the Niners in the snow? It was just about a year ago. Like the same stuff that we praised Hollins for, you're seeing Shavers do it week in and week out, especially highlighted in this game against the Steelers on these duo runs.
Yeah, and it's not just like nickels or corners, like it's actual safeties. Like he is digging out legitimate dudes. And you even see on this one too, like a Landon Roberts 50, he gets away a little bit from McGovern. So McGovern's trying to chase him, but then because everything is so strong from Hawes in the front side, Roberts has like a shot at some daylight, but he gets caught in the trash because everybody inside of him and outside of him is getting mashed. They do such a good job of wadding it all up. Like there's either an alley or a seam or a crease for Cook. And if not, everybody just kind of just locked into one area, and then Cook can just bounce it and you got to deal with his speed outside. This game was really nice for this concept. And then being able to pair it with the mid zone stuff from the exact same presentation, personnel, alignment, formation, all of it. You can come to the line and you could just run mid zone weak or duo. And someone might be like, oh, you can only run 2 things from that, but you can't allocate enough resources as a defense to be able to stop both of them at the same time.
Exactly.
And then you add in the execution from the Bills and you're kind of in hell.
If you guys don't realize what Anthony was just talking about, go watch the Rams offense, because that's who Joe Brady is copying when it comes to the personnel groupings, 11, 12, 13, and running mid zone and running duo. Joe Brady watches a lot of Sean McVay film, and you can see that in this game. It's very difficult to differentiate what play concepts come in. And so, sure, they ran a lot of mid zone, they ran a lot of duo, and yes, the Steelers were calling out these plays, but then it just lends to Anthony's point that how difficult it is to defend as a defense when you're talking symmetry and numbers in the box and defending. Oh, it's a weak side run. Oh no, this is a strong side run, duo versus mid zone. So we hope you guys were paying attention the last few minutes when it comes to mid zone, when it comes to duo, because I want you to take a look at this. You see McGovern pointing out the mic here. All right. So you see who he's calling out, who they're working to. I showed you the footwork, the path of the running back here by Cook as the ball snapped. So I want you guys to guess. Is this going to be zone run, a zone block, or is this going to be duo? What do you guys have? What are your guesses here on this play? I'll let it roll. This is 12 personnel against the Steelers. Is this zone blocking? Is this duo from the Bills offense here? What do you think? Let's see some guesses in the chat room right here. Hopefully you guys were paying attention. You weren't doing too much talking to the family while you're eating dinner and watching this play. But Anthony, I want to get your thoughts on it. Give the class the answer on this play. We got one guess from White Town's King. He says duo. It's a pretty good guess there. I posed this in the Discord channel yesterday. We have a film channel, and we run a lot of topics and film through that channel and get some of these guesses. So White Towns, you said duo. Why was it duo on this play? If you can answer real quick. Again, you see the mic point, who the offensive line is working to. You see the footwork and path from the running back. Why did you call this duo?
Oh, I really want to know. Like I hope he didn't like just say it and then he like put his phone down or like pause the episode and then had to come back.
Kevin says duo as well. Yep, for sure. All right, so Mike point, Anthony. Mike point is 255, and you see the path of the running back. What call you get here?
You get so you got the Mike point we talked about earlier. Actually, or ironically to Kevin, you get the duo will go in the opposite direction of the Mike point. And then some of the points I also talked about, you get that step from Cook right at the play side linebacker. You get the double team from Anderson and Torrance. Connor McGovern, the center, is working to the backside. So is he working front side? Nope. He's going backside. And then this run also being run to the tight end. And Ryan Vandermark on the backside, big on big. All of those indicators add up to what Kevin and Y-Town's King said of this run being a duo run. Also, aside from the quiz, nice push crack from Tyrell Shavers.
Yes.
Like coming from the outside, real pretty.
But also, again, they run duo here. But Shavers, who was on a bunch of those other plays when they ran duo, was off the edge of the offensive line.
Yes.
But because of that defensive look, you see the safety to play side deep, and then you see this safety also at depth. They keep Shavers out there. But as you said, they still get that block on that safety. He's not down there anymore. So you didn't see Josh Allen point to safety down, and bring Shavers in. He kept them out there. Now you have time and space to boom, execute that push crack. And now what happens? What was the game plan again? Get Cook on a cornerback on a corner and make them tackle. And you see it's a good tackle there by Asante Samuel.
That's but again, he can tackle.
he can tackle. Yeah. I mean, I know that was a thing that have really, showed up on his film and talking points about him. But
I'm surprised he did it in this game with just coming off the neck fusion or whatever he got. Like there was talks that he wasn't going to be able to play football again.
Yeah, good leverage there and good tackle, but good guesses by you guys. That was duo. Mike point was to the backside of the formation with the duo run. You have Cook coming to the tight end side of the 12 personnel. So very good job by Y-Towns and Kevin and others of calling out that duo, but that's not it. We got another one here in a couple minutes. So now Bills later in the game are in, once again, 12 personnel, and they run mid zone for 31 yards. Again, watch Hawes, watch the technique by Dawson Knox and chopping down and doing that, Cromer technique. And then Shavers, once again, finding work, but you're working mid zone. So they're working to the left side of the screen. They're working 250, and you see the cutback once again. Look at the bubble, right, Anthony? They always like to attack that bubble here on the backside, and you see Cook get to it. Really good technique by the backside tight ends here. Hawes, great hand technique and placement, chop by Knox, and then you see Shavers once again just finding work, and the vision by Cook getting north and south for the 31-yard gain.
Yeah, a little bit more of the slalom ski style from James Cook as he gets to the second level and sees Shavers kind of eyeing up Duggar, number 29 there. Just that, even that, the vision right there, like he sees it, he feels it.
And real quick, you're right. He sees it, he feels it. He knows pre-snap based on the structure of the defense. Again, different structure. He knows that's going to be cut back. He knows where the bubble is. But just to give you an idea, usually on zone runs like this, the running back is taught to make his decision or cut by the third step. And you can see 1, 2, boom. He's already making the cut. He doesn't even make it to essentially his third step, and he's already making that cut. He's already cutting it back for that 31-yard gain.
Yeah, great call. Just sees it, feels it, knows it, and then the cut to get there, and then the cut off of Shavers' block. The ankle flexion and the power and the burst that he has like in those legs, aside from the quickness. I love that, the great call that you mentioned, Knox's block there. Wilson tries to get into him, but Knox chops him and essentially just brings him upfield with him. Bang. You see that chop from the outside hand up. So pretty. Peyton Wilson gets sucked up, and then Hawes is mashing. Great hand placement. He gets that clamp hand with that left hand inside Holcomb, the linebacker, right into his chest, washes him a little bit into TJ Watt, who's trying to shoot inside of Anderson. He spins off Anderson, gets hit by his own man. Cook is right through the heart of the defense, carries some corners from some yards after contact. Just really nice physicality and fluidity at the same time.
Here's a duo run by Cook later in the game. You see the safety come down. Josh points him out. And so he keeps Shavers into the formation here. There it is. You see him call him in. Here comes Shavers. Here comes duo. Obviously, gap without a puller. Again, watch the sort by the front side. Look at Hawes, look at Knox, Shaver. Shavers on this play was ridiculous. Okay,
crazy.
So he looks like he's going to jump into that gap, but he gets outside and he cleans up that edge. He helps Knox right there, but his eyes are on the pursuing defender of the Steelers. Holds him inside. Great work. That gets Cook on the perimeter once again versus a corner. And then you see Cook with that burst to get up the field for a 7-yard gain on a play. Again, the Bills ran a bunch in this game, and the defense knew it was coming. The defense threw different things at them, as you heard TJ Watt talk about. And it was just the execution and ability for the offensive line, tight ends, and wide receivers to sort things on the edge to get the ball on the perimeter for James Cook.
This was such a nice sort in general, but Shavers, Duggar walks down. As we showed earlier, like Shavers is in there to essentially like pick up Duggar, right? He's trying to insert, get Duggar. Duggar slants inside and attacks Hawes. So Hawes has to pick him up. Knox is still picking up his man, Herbig, who's on the end of the line with him. And look how Shavers, like you said, just he stays tight. Okay, let me stay tight to Knox, see if anything, comes loose here with this block. Jumps back out, gets his hand right onto Knox. He's staying there. Let me clean up. Okay, let me work to the second level because he knows a Landon Roberts 50, that inside backer, that play side backer, he knows he's going to be free based on how the sort happened in front of him. So him working to the second level to legitimately pick up an inside backer as a wide receiver.
That typically isn't his assignment on this play.
Exactly.
That safety is not normally jumping inside like this. So essentially what happened here is they changed positions. Hawes picked up the guy Shavers usually picks up, and Shavers picked up the guy that Hawes would be working to backside, right? Because these guys are working backside.
Yep. Just that wherewithal, like the awareness, the knowledge, but also the execution for everybody to do this on the fly. This is what we were talking about with, like, you can be running the same thing, but it's the execution. Yeah, Shavers' eyes, he's looking like
that's why he jumped inside.
Exactly. He's jumping inside to insert and pick up his guy, but his guy got picked up. So he doesn't just stand there and go, I don't know what to do. He's like, okay, let me work around and pick up the guy that Hawes was supposed to pick up.
One-on-one here, one-on-one here, one-on-one here. Who's a free defender? That linebacker is, so he cleans up the edge here. And then, like I said, he picks up that guy when he comes down the line of scrimmage. This is just beautiful stuff. That's ridiculous, Anthony. That play is ridiculous between a rookie tight end and a guy off the practice squad, for the last couple of years, and Shavers. Just remarkable stuff by those guys.
It sincerely is. Like, and it's not because we watch the Bills a bunch or because we like the Bills. Like, that level of sophistication and knowledge combined with execution is awesome. Like at any level, let alone, from a rookie tight end and then from a practice squad wide receiver getting his first year, like with a call up to the big leagues. Just awesome. And then, what happens? Cook gets outside. He's one-on-one with the corner. Let me see what I can do against the corner. Put my shoulder into him, carry for a couple more yards. Herbig puts a nice shot on him at the end. I like that. You can see the frustration starting to show a little bit. But we really can't talk enough about how crazy that sort is, and then the execution and the finish with it.
All right. So moving on, mid zone coming here, right, guys? Like you see 12 personnel. Here comes Shavers. And Josh aligns him to the weak side of the formation. And so watch 55, watch 29 here. Watch how they kind of come down towards the line of scrimmage to kind of, again, balance the numbers and symmetry of the defense. Here comes 55. They think what's coming? Mid zone. So they want to blow this up to that side. But they run with Davis. They run duo here. I'm sorry, not duo, inside zone here. They run inside zone here, and you see Davis pick up the nice chunk here by the Bills running back there. Just, again, you can show all these different things. The formations can look alike, but they're different as far as what's blocked up, what concepts run, and then the execution.
It's this hole is just comically like big. The crease that Ray Davis is able to get through as the defensive line.
What? I'm sorry to interrupt you. I said inside zone. I misspoke. This is duo. I'm sorry.
Yes. Oh, copycat. Oh, you know what? But I didn't even catch that. Good call.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So they run duo on this, and the hole for Ray Davis to go through is just comical. Like, McGovern, again, because it's duo, he's working backside. So he takes 94. Yahaya Black, boom, he's pinned, he's sealed. And then you've got Torrance and Spencer Anderson. Alec Anderson starting with the double on Benton and then working their way to Roberts, and just look at the crease, the alley. And then Roberts even comes off a little bit. Davis does a good job getting away from him. He's through that first level and has so much time and space that it doesn't really matter at that point. I liked this wrinkle because from a formation standpoint, because so much of the game was, that the presentation was like that tight trips or that tight bunch type of aspect from an inline tight end, Shakir and Shavers off the tight end, or, the double tight ends attached and then a receiver hipped off, however you wanted. Then they put Shavers over here and kind of threw it off a little bit from a Steelers perspective. And I think that, to your point, you saw them kind of adjust and they came through here. The first one I charted like this came at the 5 minute and 56 mark in the third quarter. And then we saw it a couple more times in the third quarter and later in the fourth. So they ran this alignment 4 times. But when they first did it, like they just shown here, you see the Steelers kind of trying to course correct for it. And they don't, and that's why there's a massive alley in the A gap for Ray Davis to just get north and south.
And again, this guy coming down as again, we're running duo. Everyone's going to be working right to left on the screen. That guy coming down obviously kind of throws a wrench in usually what you're having that center kind of, block back here, but also play side here. You're seeing there's no one for these guys to work back to, right? And so what happens here is you're going to see this defender kind of play into Anderson. And then the linebacker 50 is going to work over the top. And that's why you see how this unfolds almost like it's inside zone, which I misspoke and said, but it's actually duo on this play. They can't work back. There's no one to work back to. And so that symmetry of the defense and trying to be, symmetrical and having numbers to both sides, it really opened up a lane up the middle for Ray Davis on this play, on this duo run. Really good stuff there. But when it came to the run game stuff, man, it was fun. Good stuff. I know it can be looked at as simplistic, but there is, as we showed you, it takes some time to flesh out. If you're just looking at, the run concepts on paper or in the box score or through the lens of a TikToker that wants to just call the same play and call it, say it's 29 times. They ran it 29 times when that's actually false and incorrect. You can see there is some complexity to those simplistic concepts, even when you run it that many times. And we're talking double-digit times in this game against the Steelers.
Yes, there is still some complexity to it. And there's execution on top of that. I came away from this one more excited for the run game than I had previously because they are, as this comment says, like variants of the same play. It's a blender. That's exactly it. You put the defense in a blender. And what I like about this one is I love the blast counter concept that they've run this year, but it usually comes from the same look, the same presentation.
Yeah, it's hard to hide that one.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why teams have kind of been onto it a bit. And they showed the kind of similar presentation in this, but then, went away from it, but it still didn't work. What's nice about this is
they did, hold on, I'm sorry. They did throw a little different wrinkle this year. Just so on the play where Cook bounced it and he fumbled it, it was that same counter look, but they ran essentially what looked to be like an inside zone away from the fullback to kind of throw the wrinkle in there, but it didn't hit because of, the way it was blocked up the front side especially on that fumble.
And my thought with that even too was, even though it's not that blast counter look, you still have that offset and strong eye. The ball is still going away from that. So even if the Steelers thought it was blast counter, they're still going to go and attack that weak side, which is what they did. Herbig ends up making a nice play. I forget who he shed, and then Cook knees the ball himself. But like even their answer to that was still like, well, the ball's still going to the weak side. Like the defense is still going to play that way. What's nice about this is it's just baked in answers. And we talked about different buttons they can push and different levers and they can pull and dials they can turn and all that kind of stuff. They can't completely change the offense. They're not going to be adding all these new concepts and this different way to attack and all this, unless there is the Galaxy Brain Grandmaster plan of they've been doing all this on purpose to then flip the script come playoff time. But this is a really nice way where you can keep it simple and it's easy and basic from the offensive side, but you can come to the line and put the defense in hell just based off of one formation and a couple personnel groupings. And then if on top of that, you show these presentations, right? And the defense starts to think, okay, well, it's either going to be mid zone or it's going to be duo. And then you start to build some play action in like they did later in the fourth quarter, the Dawson Knox. Then it becomes like, it sounds so simple. And it's like, well, that's not hard or it's not complicated. But you can't allocate all those resources defensively to stop all of those things, even if you know what's coming. And that's aside from having the Bills executing on top of it. That's a really exciting thing going forward because there's still a tendency, there's still a tell, right? And there's still some telegraphing, but it's much harder to stop than what their previous telegraphings, tells, and tendencies were when it came to the run game.
No doubt. But we analyze the run game, the simplicity, the complexity all rolled into one. But we can't get out of the film room without our easy low and auto sales play of the game. And that's going to be the touchdown by Josh Allen here on this play. So let's get to that, making it look easy. And this is one of those plays where, this is not easy. It's actually the opposite. Low red zone, Josh in an empty set. Brandon Cooks coming across the formation, little pick between Ty Johnson and Dawson Knox. And you have Coleman coming over the top. And on the snap, Josh has someone right in his lane. He wants to throw it to Knox here. And I think it's there, especially he knows it's man coverage, right? Because you see the linebacker out on Ty Johnson. So this is the play, that he's supposed to make. He's supposed to throw it to Dawson Knox, but they have a free runner coming right at Josh and likely to bat this down. And so Josh just reloads. And I don't know how he reloads on this, but as he does, as you'll see from the end zone angle, Cam Hayward is staring him down as he did for much of the game as Josh laughed in his face. And Josh does that here by jump throwing it to Coleman in the back of the end zone for the touchdown. Just beautiful stuff. I love this design with Cooks coming across the formation. You have a lot of like mesh type concepts, right? We can't get out of here without saying
away. We can't get away.
Crossing stuff coming across behind the line of scrimmage, in front of the line of scrimmage. I like how Cooks, it becomes like a screen right here. If Josh wants to throw this, the lead blocker out in front, really good stuff, good design, but the play speed by Josh here to, reload, but then look to run. And you see Ramsey come down here because he thinks he's going to get a nice big hit on Josh Allen. But as Josh typically does, he makes Ramsey look silly. He makes Cam Hayward look silly, and he's able to reacquire the third player in the progression in Keon Coleman, and Coleman brings it in for the touchdown.
I like that you mentioned, Cooks coming across. I like, the little escort swing that's kind of built into that a little bit as well. You hit it like Nichols blitzes, and you're sitting there thinking, like Allen wants it, but he knows it's going to get batted. It's 4th and 1. You are up 10-7. Everything is collapsing around you from a pocket standpoint, a player standpoint. Everything's moving fast. You want to be able to score. You haven't scored a touchdown yet in the game, despite the fact that you're up 10-7. Highsmith is slanting inside. Eccles is coming from the slot. Hayward is going to loop. It's a nice design and execution from the Steelers. Hayward is right there. And I love how this screenshot's great. Allen pulls it down and is just staring right at Hayward. And sees him, Allen sees Hayward see him, slams on the brakes. Ramsey has committed. And look at just the instantaneous throw. Look at the zip on that.
Yeah.
That throw, he's not stepping into this. He literally had just stopped his momentum and then just arm slings the bang. Just slings it on a dot and on a rope to Keon Coleman right over Ramsey's head. That, again, obviously, a lot of our making it look easy plays are not easy at all. This is just a crazy play. I put this in the filing of the Josh one or the Josh Allen and one mixtape tour plays. Yeah. This play is just nuts. To be able to reset in an instant and bang, fire that in there with no platform, not even no platform. You stopped your momentum. You slammed on the brakes. You're not stepping into this or moving forward at all. Your momentum has come to a halt, and if anything, is moving backwards. And he jump throw slings that thing over Ramsey. Dude,
it just reminds me of one of his first passes that was in the preseason against, was it the Browns? when Josh, his rookie year,
Oh, in the low
he
red
slammed
zone?
on the brakes in the low red zone, threw it to the back of the end zone. It reminds me of where he was about to run it a couple of years ago, and then he saw Shakir late, where he puts on the brakes and throws it to him for the touchdown. He made it look easy, and that's why this was our easy loan auto sales, making it look easy. Play of the game, Josh Allen. These are the type of plays that Allen has to continue to make.
Yes,
it sucks to say that, but he needs to make these. But I also think that the hit earlier in the game allows him to do this. When he gets hit, whether it's a design run, a scramble, people start, talking trash to him, he elevates his game. It kind of resets his equilibrium, and he's able to make these type of plays and show this type of play speed. Like you said, putting on the brakes, the pump fake, everything about this was not easy, but Josh made it look easy for easy loan auto sales.
Yeah, just so in a high pressure situation, 4th and 1, like, man, just crazy play from Josh Allen there. And that's why it is our easy loan auto sales, making it look easy. Play of the game. Sponsored, of course, by Easy Loan Auto Sales. Easy Loan Auto Sales is Western New York's premier buy here, pay here car dealership with locations in Buffalo and Lockport. Regardless of your credit history, they offer the fastest car buying experience around. You can get approved and reserve your vehicle all from your phone. Start your approval at easyloanauto.com, and you could be driving today.
Fun stuff. That was a fun film room. We got to talk about some of the defensive stars and Christian Benford, Shaq Thompson, but also highlight the run game, not just James Cook doing it all, but the offensive line, the wide receivers, the tight ends. It was a team effort on both sides of the ball, great execution, clear and concise game plans executed by the Bills, offensive and defensive players for a big win. And they're going to have to start to stack some of those wins to end this season.
Yeah, and you got another. We're not in must-win territory yet, but you have a game that it would be really good if you could win this week against Cincinnati and keep rolling with that. You don't have, not even from a division standpoint, but you don't really have a lot of room for error going forward, especially if Houston beats Kansas City this week, which realistically and honestly might happen. Man, I love Kamari Lassiter. You need to keep winning, not just from a momentum standpoint, but even from a logistics standpoint. And it's nice to be coming off a game where there was some simplicity to it, but you executed well. You had a good mentality. You had a good focus. You had execution within that. And you had some dudes make some plays for you. You had your guys who were at the top of your roster, and so who are the guys who are supposed to be some of your better players make plays that better players make. You had Christian Benford being the player of the game overall. And if it's not him, it's Cook, because he helped lead a record-setting performance against the Pittsburgh Steelers and at that stadium. And then you had the offensive line doing what they did. Just, it's nice to have that at this time of year, especially with back. And we didn't even really harp on it too much. They did it without both their starting tackles.
I know.
They did it with Ryan Vandermark and Alec Anderson.
We couldn't even get to that part of the game plan of how they, use some play action. They use some jam blocks, some chips, formations. I think formations, hands down, were critically important to the Bills' win on offense. And when it came to slowing down the edge rushers and Highsmith and TJ Watt in the pass game, but also as you saw in the run game and cleaning up the edges, I thought the formations on top of the mental processing and ability for the tight ends and wide receivers to sort things out on the runs, there's some of the better run blocking stuff from skilled positions that we've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And that stuff matters in today's NFL, and it matters a ton for the Bills because of who they are and what they are. Rob, I appreciate your comments, but you can't jinx that like that. You say I'm going to the game this week. I'm 3-0 going to the games. I'm going to make it 4-0 this week. Why would you do that? That's such a horrible, superstitious thing, especially for me, who's extremely superstitious. I wish you the best of luck and have a great time at the game, but that made me more nervous now. Oh, boy. But, yeah, it's exciting to see maybe the Bills are starting to hit their stride, kind of figure some things out. And we said it going into this year. We've said it throughout the regular season. I've said it a bunch myself, I wanted the AFC East title again for the sake of the streak. I wanted to have the 1 seed to get more home games at Highmark / Ralph Wilson / Rich Stadium. I wanted the picturesque storybook moment of hosting the AFC Championship there and going to the Super Bowl there, and that's the last game that closes it down. But at the end of the day, be the best version of yourself heading into the playoffs. And
At the
whether
right
that
time.
means, yes, and whether that means being 10-7 or 14-3, if you're the 7 seed, if you're the 1 seed, if you're the 2, doesn't matter. We've seen them be high up and have home games and not win. Be the best version of yourself. And maybe they are starting to be that, and that's exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle every week. The AFC itself is flipped on its head, and who knows? Prior years they've won the division and all of that, and been near the top, and you saw how those things unfolded. Maybe this is the route that they need to get to the big game. It's gonna be a fun finish, and each and every week we're gonna break down the good and the bad of the Bills. And I'm just excited about this matchup, and I hope you guys in this game against the Steelers, this review of the game, we hope that you learned a little something. And when you're watching the game on Sunday, because you're going to see those mid-zone runs, you're going to see those duos. Now some keys to look for so that it's coming, not just the Bengals or the Steelers or the Patriots, and some things that you can watch the game differently from here on out. And hopefully we brought that to the table for you guys tonight.
Yes, we sincerely hope that this, granted, we love doing this, but especially for this show, the biggest thing is that education piece and that knowledge piece. And especially with, I'm very much kind of live and let people do their thing. But when you have people out there like that Film Watchers account purposefully misleading people and setting improper narratives, that's not cool. And
for
just
clicks?
For clicks. No, that's terrible. That's bad practice. You're misleading people. It's disingenuous. It's all terrible. But it's easy to get fooled by that stuff if you don't know. So whether you consume our stuff or you watch other stuff from whatever teams or people, just be cognizant. It's easy to get misled in this day and age where everybody has access to everything and they don't really care what they're saying or what they're doing. So we appreciate those of you who tune in and look to us as a beacon or a resource or whatever have you. We hope you enjoyed the quizzes in this episode today and all the knowledge that was dropped. And we appreciate you folks, again, riding on the back end of Thanksgiving last week. We're we are very thankful for all the support that you folks give us in whatever form or fashion you give it. If you are watching here on YouTube live, please drop a like on this video. If you're watching later on YouTube, please drop a like on this video. Turn on notifications for the Cover One Film Room playlist here on YouTube. Subscribe to the Cover One channel with all the multitude of content we have for you across the brand. If you're listening on one of the podcasting apps or platforms, that's cool too. Please rate and review and subscribe. Tell your family, friends, and loved ones about the show, about the brand. Word of mouth is a tremendous asset for us here on the brand and on the show. And that'll do it for us here in this episode of the Cover One Film Room. For myself, Anthony Prohaska, for the godfather and founder of Cover One, Eric Turner, for Joe DeRosa, our man behind the scenes who helps us so much with production things and episode creation and prep. We hope you and your family and friends and loved ones are all doing well and staying safe. Be kind to one another. Take care of one another. We will see you when we see you. Godspeed. And as always, go Bills.